Hello, and thanks for joining us on Cherries Red Army, wherever you are in the world. And you are here for Cherries in Focus, where we catch up with all the latest AFC Bournemouth news in the last 7 days, interactive and live on YouTube with you right now. But you might be watching this back on replay, so thanks very much for that. What's coming up this evening? Well, we're going to mop up that pre-season in Marbella. We're going to take a look at Milos Kerkez. Is it time for him to shine under Andoni Iraola, or is time running out? We've got a little interactive quiz for you, which we have called Which Cook or Cook Is It? You can get involved with that later on and you can count your scores up as well. We're going to have a look at that away kit and get your fan reactions. Milos Kerkez, he has signed the contract. He's got his medical done. He'll be through the door very, very soon. But is it time to walk away from Bristol City and Alex Scott? Because they want in excess of £25 million. Do subscribe. Do hit the like button. Let's get to it. Good evening, and let's go round the room for our fans in this guest panel. Steve, Hensman, had a good week. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing better. Slowly getting there with the croc leg. Got an epidural book now, which is a bit scary, but yeah, hopefully that'll solve things. But yeah, some good stuff this week. Exciting news with the transfer. A bit of more prep work on the training in Marbella, and yeah, all looking rosy.
Aaron, good to have you on again. Missed it last week. You had a bit of a break, but you're back for this one. Lots of cooking, apparently. We'll get stuck into that. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, been cooking my dinner and lunch and breakfast and everything. Yeah, it's all been good. Good to be back. Steve said it's been quite an exciting last few days. Things are beginning to gather pace a bit in the transfer front, and players all back on home turf, and hopefully raring to go now.
Now, John Spark, he's on international break, so we've got Mark Davies checking in to take his spot this evening in a wonderful Bournemouth shirt. How you doing, Mark? Tell us a little bit about your week.
About my week. Football filled, mate, to be honest with you. I mean, my pre-season's just started, and thankfully I'm actually back in now, because after my hand injury, breaking a couple of bones in my hand here, then I'm pleased to be back, mate. And yes, thanks for having me on today, and obviously some big shoes to fill whilst John's on international duty, I guess.
You'll do absolutely fine. And there's lots of conversations coming your way. Let's see who's joining us in the interactive chat. Chris Hubble, good evening. Mark Singleton, Mark Cole. Hope you're all doing well. Alan from Finland, thank you very much. We've got Liam Humby, got Charlie Baker, good evening. Let's drop down for Luke Andrews. Hope you're having a good week. John Spark is here, though, in the interactive chat. We've got Lee J and we've got Cameron Meach as well. So anyone else joining us? If you're on Twitter, pop onto YouTube for a better interactive experience. Do pop your thoughts in the chat and we'll get them on the screen. I want to take this moment, though, to thank our monthly members who support the channel. And recently, we've had some extra monthly members and donations. So if you're one of those fans, thank you very much. And if you're one of our regular monthly members, thank you so much. Your support means we can be here interactive, having these conversations. So thank you so much. Let's get stuck into the topics then, Steve. It was wrapped up in Marbella, not the way we really wanted it. It was 1-0 to Maccabi. Not a lot of stats to go off, really. But I wasn't too worried about the score, Steve. And it's a loss. No one wants to lose, but this is an opportunity for Andoni to learn more about it. And I did feel that the players looked a bit leggy. Maybe it was a busy week, hard work on that training ground, and maybe took its toll come 90 minutes in that fixture.
Yeah, I think you don't want to be reading too much into these games pre-season, especially with, with having Andoni Iraola just come in the door. I'll get his name right sooner or later. He's new in the door. He's got fresh ideas. He's just rolling them out to the team and everything. We're just seeing the first baby steps of this new team. So it's not always going to be 4-0 wins like it was over Hibs. And let's not forget they're in the middle of a heat wave out there as well. They've had a hard week's training. It's just bits and pieces of the puzzle coming together. So you got to ignore the result. It was a bit of a nothing game, to be honest, and it's just a chance to get some more minutes in the legs for a lot of them. Have a look and let Andoni have a look at these players firsthand out on the pitch, because he's got to make some decisions coming up soon. So he needs to have a good look at all of these players.
Aaron, if we do want to break down the one defining moment in the game, it was a mistake in the middle of the park where we gave the ball away in a deflection off Adam Smith. But that was about it from the goal. And like Steve said, and Andy Doley would have had a lot of notes to take away from that fixture leading into the next fixture back on home turf.
Yeah, look, I reiterate what you and Steve have both said. Don't take too much notice of the result. We played with a very high press. Maccabi Tel Aviv basically played the ball out from the back, which actually was a good lesson for us, and trying to, could they break through our press? We did a couple of times. They are a slightly different caliber of team to Hibernian, and so it proved. But yeah, you can't read too much into it. I thought for periods of the game, we had some nice moves, and we were kind of showing a bit of the identity that Andoni wants to try and bring. That's, I said, that very high press, getting the ball forward quite quickly, a lot of diagonal passes. But yeah, we ran out of puff, we ran out of energy, clearly, sapping heat. Their players probably more used to the heat in the Middle East, and I think wasn't too much reading into it. Lots of chopping and changing, as there always is in these friendlies, and then it lost a bit of the structure. But yeah, a useful exercise. You learn quite a lot from all of these games, and I thought certain players really did shine again. I thought Brooksy was great when he came on. Jaden Anthony looked bright when they came on in the second half. So yeah, not taking too much from it. I really enjoyed the mic'd up from Andoni before, and that was really interesting. But yeah, all in all, I think hopefully a good couple of weeks' work in Marbella.
I was going to say, Mark, that before this fixture, we got to see training with Andoni Iraola up close and personal, and I loved it. The mic'd up, it's on the official club website, and it just shows the levels. And I think this is what we're talking about now, the way he's congratulating the players, getting the best out of the players, wanting them to improve. I love the little personal touch that he had with each player, making sure they can develop in that drill, or just praising them. Bravo. It was really, really good. And I think you're seeing a class coach there, and I do think we're on to something good here.
Yeah, I think we're definitely seeing a different sort of pedigree now to what we've had previously. Obviously, particularly under Gary O'Neill. I know from my previous videos, I was a bit of an advocate, and I was really hoping that Gary, really shone through. Not to be the case on this occasion, but I think now, yeah, you can see Iraola is a different caliber to Gary O'Neill. Like I say, it looks like his man management skills as well. Really wants to get the buy-in from the players straight away as well, and in which case they'll buy into his ethos and the way he wants to play. And ultimately, again, he's another manager though that has commented saying that he's never really seen a team work as hard, or a team that's willing to work as hard, given, I guess, the conditions that probably Central Europe are facing at the moment. So yeah, it's all looking really promising stuff, and something to get really, really excited about.
Sorry, how long do you think it's going to be before we've got a Bravo Iraola shirt in the club shop?
I loved
it's all over Twitter, isn't it, at the moment? So yeah,
I absolutely loved it.
It'll cost you 50 quid, but it'd be worth it.
That's why you should get one of these, mate. They're much cheaper, and actually at the moment they're probably a bit nicer than what we've got on at the moment. So,
well, we'll go on to the away kit that's just been released in a little bit. Aaron, someone that did take credit away from that in the clips that I saw of the Maccabi game was Lewis Cook. There seems to be some good interaction on social media with fans putting it out there that they reckon this is the season for Lewis Cook. And there's no reason why, Aaron, under Andoni Iraola, that Lewis Cook can't live up to the potential that we thought he would. He's had 2 really bad injuries, ACL, and I still have doubts. I still feel that I'm going to get to 38 games and just feel like he could have done more, or just, I think I've set an expectation with Lewis Cook that at some point, the lack of consistency is just going to get to me. But he's had a bright start in pre-season.
It's a massive season for Lewis Cook, a really, really defining one, because I'm in the camp of, I'm just not sure what he is. The last couple of seasons, as you say, he's been massively affected by the 2 injuries, which is completely understandable. Before his injuries, he was a gem, one of the rising stars of English football, made it into the England squad, and was just kind of, first name on the team sheet type of player. And now I'm just like, for me, based on the end of last season, Rothwell's ahead of him. Obviously, Lerma was ahead of him. And obviously, Jeff's gone now. And there's more and more talk of we're maybe not directly replacing Jeff because of the way Iraola wants to play football. He wants players to pick up the ball, players like Lewis Cook who are very comfortable in possession, sitting in front of the defence, Joe Rothwell as well. So whether he's kind of earmarking Lewis having a big role in the style of football that he wants to play. When I say I don't know what he is, that's no disrespect because he's still a fantastic footballer, and I really hope that he shoves the words down my throat and becomes an undroppable player this season because I'd love it. But I still don't see him as like the tough tackling player that Lerma is, or the protection that he is. I don't see him as the driving forward player that Rothwell is, that Traore can be probably as well. His goals and assists is pretty much non-existent really for Lewis Cook. And I'm just, not convinced. But what he does do is keep the ball, keep things simple, keep things ticking over, similar to what Andrew Sermon used to do to some extent. So yeah, the jury's out for me. He has looked good in pre-season, and obviously everyone starts with a clean slate and all that, and I get that. So why not? Why can't this be his season?
I think, Steve, that everyone would like Lewis Cook to have a fantastic season and become a fantastic player. Reality is his contract's up in 2025. I do think we need to replace Jeff Lerma. And I said a few weeks ago that if we do that, it's probably best all round potentially for Lewis Cook to go out because he's probably still got some financial value. And I'd be happy for Gav Kilkenny to be a third option on the bench. But I do want Lewis Cook to work. Where are you at with Lewis Cook, and what do you think Andoni's going to do with this option?
For me, I think it's firstly, I think Lewis Cook is a fantastic player. We saw that before he's had his injuries. He was such a exciting box to box midfielder. He could do pretty much everything. He could get in the tackle. He could put the good pass in. He was linking up play really well. For me, what's happened with him is these two injuries have affected him more than we realise. And it feels to me like he's almost playing within himself a bit. It's all a little bit safe. It's all a little bit, Look, I don't want to liken him to Andrew Sermon and say that that's the same sort of thing, but it is a little bit, I suppose. But I just think there's a bit of Lewis Cook in hiding a little bit. And when I say that, I just mean like he's playing 90% all the time. He just doesn't want to, be that same player he was, and I think it's for fear of getting injured. That's exactly it. I mean, get his tenacity back would be a great start because I don't think he's anywhere near as tenacious as he used to be. He was, he just used to have everything, in my opinion. I thought, and highly worth his England cap at the time. And it's a sorry thing that's happened to him, whereby he's just suffered with injury so badly, and you can understand why you wouldn't want to go through all that again. Having said that, if you do play like that, there isn't going to be, if you've got a team that's progressive, you're going to show ambition and wants to progress like we do. He's got to up his game a bit. And like Aaron said,
Jack Wilshere, Steve.
Well, what's to say it might not go that way. He's only 25. And I think that's probably a bit of a mindset thing, and you don't want it to go that way. Hence why I say playing within yourself. I think he needs to step up a little tad, especially under this new Iraola regime. But I believe he's got it in him. I 100% believe he can do it, and I believe he can be an integral part of this team. Just needs to. I'm not going to do the Disney let it go, but let it go a little bit.
We're having these conversations regularly, though, Mark, about players coming to the end of their contract and they're not 34, they're not 35, they're in their prime. And Lewis Cook will be in that position next season, at the end of this season. Where are you at with Lewis Cook? Because if anyone is determined to prove doubters wrong or turn it around and become a fantastic player for us, and Steve said he's still quite young, he's been through these bad injuries, he probably will have the determination. Can he do it, though? Can you trust him to be available consistently for a whole season?
So for me personally, I am a Lewis Cook fan, very much so. Now, whether that's to do, I'm actually a fan of Football Manager as well, and those who have played the game before would know what his ability was in the past. However, listening to what everybody was just saying then, Aaron, Steve, and actually some of the viewers as well, you pretty much took all the words right out of my mouth there, and that. So I'll try and do my best to fill some of the gaps in this. I feel in some of this, in some ways, his ability is now bear with me on this, is a bit like Wayne Rooney, because he's got all this ability. Okay, in some respects you can almost play him in so many various positions, and because where he's not had I would say a settled manager for a long period, for an extended period of time. I wouldn't say like, a season is enough under one manager. I always find that he's and because of his injuries as well, he's not been able to settle as we would have expected. I mean, like I said, I've broken a couple of bones in my hand here. You can see this guy, and I've got a metal plate in here. Now, being a goalkeeper, I've just started coming back into training, but I can see what Steve was saying about there's that psychological effect. And I only know a very small snippet of all of this. So when somebody's trying to strike a ball in my hand, I instantly in my mind now, I'm having to readjust a little bit, in the sense of I don't want to get a reoccurring injury. And in many respects, I'm playing within myself in that respect. But that's only a very, very small snippet, compared to an ACL anyway. But like I say, with Lewis, I've always associated him with the words like tenacity. He gets about. He wants to win the ball. I don't think because of his stature he's in a similar sort of mold to Lerma, but I don't think he would ever sort of shirk a challenge in that respect. But following on from what Steve was saying, again, maybe he's just playing within himself, and he's just those very small adjustments in which then, you either overstretch your leg a little bit. In one instance, if you're feeling fit enough, or you don't overstretch it in that respect. So that's the difference, and it's very, very small margins. So Lewis, coming into this season now, he's 25, 26, I think we saw a second ago. So in many respects, for that central midfield position, it's almost like he's coming into his prime now. He's had his experience. He's had a good couple of seasons now away from his injury. I don't really see any real reason now under Iraola, if we get the support around Lewis, for him to do all that legwork around him. For Lewis to do that legwork around the players and basically just win that ball back and just play it off, and that all he has to sort of focus on from this season. Sorry, I know I went off on a bit there, but there's a lot to say about Lewis, very much so, for this season.
Yeah, I think it's about, we know he's probably got the technical ability. Not all of his numbers tells you that, or he's not lived up to that potential, but we know he's had these stumbling blocks in his way. And then maybe it's just about having belief and someone believing in him, and the talent of Andoni Iraola as a coach could bring the best out of Lewis Cook. Watch this space.
I think Mark makes a good point, though. If you look back on it, he has been played all over the place. We thought he was in attacking midfield. We thought he was defensive midfield.
Box to box.
Yeah. We played him on the right, and
we did.
Yeah, we did. We played him on the right for us.
I think he played against Arsenal on the left once as well.
I think that was under Eddie as well. And, his development's been, we say he's still a young guy. His development's been massively hampered by two huge injuries that not a lot of people come back from, and I would think.
Well, certainly not the same player anyway.
Well, no, exactly. Yeah. So I think there's got to be some, like a little bit of a psychological thing there that says, geez, I don't want this happening again. Because, that could be career ending for me. And nobody wants to see that.
No. I mean, for me, his only position now has to be in front of that defence, because he's not a creative player. For me, anyway, not anymore. And certainly, when you compare him to the likes of Traore, Brooks, Billing, Tavernier, whoever, we've got a whole host of creative players now. So he's not going to get the numbers, not at all. So for me, if we're not going to replace Lerma, which I still hope we do, if we don't, then he's prime candidate to be that player, as Mark said, who just sits in front, does the simple stuff, and let everyone else do their own thing.
Thing is, we could be coming to January though. Sorry, Coach, I'll just interject there quickly, but we could be coming to like the January transfer window. Like, a lot to say about Lewis, and Erin saying that at this current moment we hope that we can replace Lerma, but we may come to January and be like, we don't need it at all. Yeah, Lewis is kind of back because he's in that settled role.
The one thing I'd like to see a bit more from him, and I think this is what I mean when I say playing him within himself, is I don't see him drive on the ball at all anymore.
No.
And whether that was a case of it was coached out of him a little bit under Parker and to some extent Gary O'Neill, I don't know. But he used to be quite a little bit. I thought he was a lot more dynamic than he is nowadays. For whatever reason, but that's what I'd like to see a bit more from him, because he can be dynamic and come out of defence with the ball.
I think what Sean said in the chat there, I think it's massively now on the new coach. And if it's going to happen for Lewis, it could potentially happen this season. I do have some doubts, but if anyone can do it, I think Andoni can. But this takes us nicely into our bit of fun that we're going to have in this episode 1 of Cherries in Focus, with the theme being about cook and cooking, and we're cooking in the transfer window. So we've got an interactive quiz, which I think we've called Which Cook or Cook Is It? So there's going to be 6 points available. You can get involved in the interactive chat. You can pull up your own numbers. And what's going to happen is Steve's got 6 statements, and each statement's either going to be relating to Lewis Cook, Steve Cook, or Richard Cook from the late 80s. Okay, so get involved in the chat. Steve, over to you. I'm playing in this one. Take it away.
Okay, right. So let's go. Question 1 or statement.
Do we buzz in?
No.
I will pass it round once Steve's done the statement.
Just give me your answers. So, which cook has been managed by the ex-player, manager, and all-round club legend Sean O'Driscoll?
Aaron, 30 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Been managed by, did you say?
Managed by.
Cool, that's a tough.
It wasn't managed. Didn't manage Richard Cook. Definitely. It's got Steve Cook. I'm not sure. Steve Cook.
Got Mark?
I was leaning to sort of Richard Cook because I felt that was that sort of era, and he might have been a player manager at some point, but I'm not too sure. That's a bit before my time. I'll go different. So I'll go Richard Cook.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if O'Driscoll managed him at youth level, international. So I'm going to go Lewis Cook.
And the point goes to... You're right, Kirk. He did manage him at under-19s level.
Get in.
I like
Next
your
one.
train of thought there, though, Mark. That was what I was hoping to fool you with. Right,
Very
question 2. Yeah.
Go for
A
it.
lot of Richards in there.
Number 2.
Right, you'll have. This is the documented one. I can't confirm this true or false, but I'm going that it's true. Which cook used to race lawnmowers to raise money for charity?
No, I don't think I'll go with this one. I don't think that's Lewis Cook, so I'm taking Lewis Cook straight out of it. So I am going to go for Richard Cook on this one. Mark, over to you.
I've got to go Richard. It sounds like an 80s thing to do. Health and safety wouldn't allow it these days.
Aaron?
Yeah, I was going to say Richard Cook as well. I think I can see him mowing his lawn on the wing.
Yeah, you're all right. Richard Cook is documented to have raised money for charity by racing lawnmowers.
There you go.
Well
Keep
done all.
totaling, catch up with your own totals in the chat, and we'll ask for your number at the end. Steve, number 3. I'm doing well here.
So, yeah, Kirk's in the lead. Number 3. Which cook is the majority shareholder or owner of a non-league football team? Come to you first, Mark.
Non-league, you say?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go third time's a charm. I'm going to go Richard.
Okay. Aaron?
I think it might be Steve Cook. I'm pretty sure. I can't see Richard Cook having the money for that. Might be wrong, Richard. Sorry.
I've got Steve and Richard written down, so I'm just going to pick
You can't
one.
hedge your bets. You've got to pick one.
Yeah, I just wonder if it's something Steve would do. You know, own a non-league side. Steve Cook.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mark, you fall foul of that one. It was Steve Cook.
Stop copying me, Kirk.
Majority shareholder of Westfield FC.
Oh, I knew that.
Side, playing in the Sussex League.
Oh, good for him.
So,
well
half
done.
time. We go on to the second half.
Yeah, it's 3-2-1, favouring Kirk, Aaron, then Mark. Right. Which cook, number 4, which cook doesn't have a European honour to his name?
Doesn't.
European honour?
Mm-hmm.
Is this club and international?
It's the European honour.
This is going to be so twisted. Aaron, over to you.
I don't know what you mean by European honour. So I found stupid.
Yeah, a footballing honour that's European.
Like a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, it could be a Ballon d'Or, yeah. It's not, but
I think.
Let's see what the chat are doing. What's the chat doing? Come on, put
What's
your
the chat reckon on
answers
this
in
one?
there.
I've no idea, but I reckon I think I'm going to plump for Steve Cook, the middle of the three.
Right.
I'd say he hasn't got one.
I'll stick with my man. It's got to be Richard.
Just Richard every time.
Just Richard.
Have you got some sort of deal with Richard Cook that will take you out for lunch or something? We got Lewis Cook's. I wonder if this international medal is going to come into play here. I'm going to go Steve Cook.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mark, Richard's letting you down here.
Well, you're against Richard.
Yeah, Richard does have a European. He actually won the UEFA Cup in 1984. It was an unused sub with Tottenham.
Spurs, yeah.
That's when I was born, mate. So
Lewis Cook has
Under
won
19s.
the UEFA European Under 17.
And something like that.
Right. So it was Steve Cook. Well done, Kirk and Aaron. Just totting up the scores. Hang on. Number 5.
Double or quit,
Which
Steve.
Cook has scored 17 times for AFC Bournemouth?
Not Lewis. I'm giving this away. Mark, over to you.
To give me... Oh, sod it, Richard.
Well, I'm just thinking that Steve Cook played for us for an awful long time. I don't know how many years Richard Cook played for us in the 80s, but I am going to go for the once time or more than once time good goalie, Steve Cook.
Oh, I'm really torn between Richard and Steve.
Not Lewis,
watching, no, definitely not Lewis Cook. I remember watching Richard play on the wing in the 80s. He assisted a hell of a lot. I can't remember him scoring too many. He might have got 17 over a couple of seasons. But still, I can remember. I can think of quite a number of Steve Cook's goals off the top of my head. 17 is a lot, though. You know, I'm going to spice up. I'm going to go Richard Cook.
Go on, lad.
Do you know what? Mark's finally got the cut the green there. He's got the Richard in. It was Richard with 17 goals in 125 appearances.
Go on, Cookie.
Okay.
Who was
My
that?
100%.
Who was that just put up 12 or 13 for Steve?
Mark Singleton.
Mark, do you know actually Steve Cook's he scored more than Richard? He scored 19 for us.
God.
Wow. So there's
Last
a point
question.
for Kirk and no point for Kirk, Aaron and Mark. Last question. Which Kirk once scored a 35-yarder against Fulham?
Yes. Just waiting for this one.
Come to
You're frozen.
you first, Kirk.
Me first. Not Lewis Cook, because he's only scored against Bristol City and Reading, I think. Steve Cook scored a worldie. I'm not sure it's 35 yards out though. So or did he? I just remember the one at Craven Cottage. Everything else has gone from my mind. Well, that's the only one I think against Fulham, but I might be wrong. I'm going Richard Cook. I'm going to go with Mark's mate.
Aaron?
I remember Tony Seeley scoring a 35-yarder against Fulham. Did Richard Cook score one? Oh, God. Like Kirk, you know, he scored a belter at Craven Cottage, but that definitely wasn't 35 yards. I'm going to go... I can't remember Steve Cook scoring a 35-yard goal. Richard Cook as well.
And Mark?
I think you're just being generous to me now, aren't you? No, I'm hopefully only knowing this because this was my first ever away game, believe it or not. And what a night it was. And I just remember it coming out onto that right-hand side and he just unleashed this absolute thunderbolt. It's got to be Captain Fantastic Steve Cook.
Oh,
So you've all fallen foul here and you've not listened to the question.
Oh,
Which Cook once scored a 35-yarder against Fulham?
yeah.
Have I mentioned for Bournemouth?
Oh,
Oh,
no.
It's the wonderful Lewis Cook.
Oh,
And-
no.
It was his debut goal.
Oh, that's naughty, that
Believe.
is. I think
So
someone
nil
could go
point
for Lewis.
for
Liam
all of
Humby
you.
went for Lewis. And so did Mark
Well done,
Singleton.
Mark. Well done, Liam.
Right.
So
That's the
totting all
6
that up.
statements.
Oh, you got
Well,
me
we've
there.
got-
I tell you what,
got-
Steve. I tell you what, Steve.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is I'm going to do a 60-second other news whilst you tally up the numbers.
Sure.
And the guys in the chat can also tally up their numbers. So if you know your total, 6 points available, stick them in the chat. What other news has been going around the club in the last 7 days? For Birmingham City on a permanent move. Didn't really get a fair chance at the Cherries, but we wish him all the best. According to reliable sources, we've called our interest in Matthias Viña. Hopefully that turns into a good interest very soon. We have also welcomed a new coach to our team. He works in performance, so check that out on the club website. And yes, the away kit has been released and it's making waves. Or is it? We'll get your fan reactions in a bit. Okay, Steve, over to you for the total numbers and the trophy.
Right. Okay, bringing up the rear, and unfortunately, Richard's let him down massively here. Was Mark with 2 points, but well played.
Thanks, mate. We weren't very good in the 80s, were we?
Yeah, Harry had a bit of a moment, but yeah, apart from that, no.
Just following the trend, mate.
And we've got a tie actually with Aaron and Kirk, both on 4. Now you can either just say, "Well done, lads, you both win," or I do have a tie-breaky type thing.
Go on then.
You don't want to split it like they do on Come Dine With Me? Split the winnings.
I don't watch Come Dine With Me, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Go and then decide,
You watch us
Steve,
fall
and
in
then
bed.
we're going to get stuck into transfer news. Let's have the decider.
Okay. Okay. Who? So I'm going to give you 3 names, and you got to tell me which cook they're their middle names of.
Okay.
Right. So Anthony, Edward, and John. So
Right.
which do you think is whose middle name?
I think it's Lewis, Anthony, Kirk,
Where's my pen gone?
Richard, Edward, Kirk, and Steve, John, Kirk. Going in nice and early. Over to you, Aaron.
Okay.
I agree on Richard. I think Richard was definitely an Edward. Richard, Edward, Cook. Just for the purposes of not having to have another tie break, I'll switch the other 2 round. I'll go for
And
Steve.
Aaron
Anthony.
takes it.
Oh,
Steve
no.
Richard,
Oh.
Edward Kirk, Steve Anthony Kirk, and Lewis John Kirk. Well done, Aaron.
Well
you very
done,
much.
Aaron. So
You
close.
get nothing for
so
it, but
far.
well done.
Oh well.
Well, that was your Where is Cook? Which Cook or Cook is it? Now let's move on to some interesting transfer news because Bournemouth are making waves. But the first waves we are making, guys, is regarding the away kit. What was your thoughts on the away kits? And we'll go into our Twitter post where we got the reactions when it was dropped by the club. Mark, the away kit's out. I felt like I couldn't look at it for too long. I love the colour, love blue, but it might need to be a grower.
I think it's definitely one that you might need to pop down to the club shop and have a quick look at it, mate. Yeah, I don't think the pictures really do it that
Too long.
justice. And yeah, it does make me chuckle seeing some of the comments on social media as well, like, you know, Artex ceiling and stuff like that. So let's just hope the third kit comes out a little bit better.
Yeah, Aaron, I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. We'll go into the Twitter post and very mixed in there. What was your thoughts when it was dropped?
It's all right. I mean, again, I think it grew on me when I first saw it. I'm like, I'm not sure, a bit busy, but yeah, growing on me. It's not one for me anyway. It's not my color, but yeah, it's all right. I'm still praying for the the green and black or blue and black stripes, the third kit.
I think that's just the general consensus at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Everybody wants green back.
I really want the away kit to be traditional green and black stripes, but not to be. But yeah, it's look, again. Let's see what it's like when it's on the players, because I think that makes a bit of a difference. But yeah, I don't not like it. Put it that way.
So this was released, and let's just have a look at your reactions. Nick Smith with a thumbs down. Gareth Burney with a thumbs up. Cherry Girl, thumbs down. Looks like a kid's pajama top. Carol absolutely loves it. Mark also loves it. It captures the breezy spirit of the beach town. Even manages to make the sponsor look good. Luke Andrew loves it. Colin Byrne, love it. Slightly prefer the palm trees from last year. Just still a beauty. Jean loves it. Abby, don't hate it, but not for me. Mark Cole, not sure. Might have to have a better look in person, prefer the home kit. We've also got a thumbs up. Tim's not for me. Nina's thumbs up. Jace's thumbs down. Victoria's thumbs up. Aaron's thumbs up. Dave, I appreciate that the design is on the back too, but overall I doubt I'll buy this one. Southern Trader is down. Jason's down, and we have another down. Makes my eyes go funny. Steve, the home kit was a We Fly High. This one is We're Making Waves. What was your thoughts when it came out?
I've got so many splinters in my arse for this one because I'm so on the fence with this. I do like the colours, love the colours, think they're good. But as we've already alluded to, it looks like an Artex ceiling, a Magic Eye painting, whatever you want. I mean, there's so many things it's been called. It does do your head in a little bit. And I also think it looks a little bit like those like surfer rash vests. You bring it up again, it just looks like one of them. I don't know if it's because they're wearing it with shorts on the beach. It just gives me that sort of vibe to it. But I love the colours. I think it's great. The only other thing I'll say, so I noticed this, and someone's put this on Twitter, is that it does look a little bit like Saints away kit from last season, which had the waves on it. So that's not a great one either. But I think I will get it. Just because I haven't bought a second away kit for ages, but I'll wait until the price comes down.
Go on, Mark.
Go on,
sorry.
Oh, okay, mate. Cheers. One thing I just wanted to mention about is, do you feel like at the moment there's a lot of different messages that are being thrown out at the moment? You know,
what we make waves, flying high, and all that.
Make waves, flying high, like always advance, never retreat. Do we still use, together anything is possible?
Well, I know that Sammy, who's a monthly member on here, loves the together anything is possible, and she doesn't want to see that lost, and that's been historically part of our Premier League journey. Look, Bill Foley's trying to put his own stamp on the club, Jim Frivola as well, and I sort of get it, and it's part of Bournemouth, beach, sand. I get all of that, Aaron, but yeah, it is a lot of messages in such a short period of time, isn't it?
What's the next one going to be? We build sandcastles.
Wow!
Don't build castles on sand.
Anything that relates to going into Europe and a European trip, I'll take.
Yeah.
There's lots of slogans, but I think that's very Americanized, isn't it? And that's kind of what we come to.
We've had air, we've had sea. Now the next one will be land, won't it? Surely.
Yeah, hopefully. Some green and black palm trees would be nice, and then green and black. I just think psychologically the American owners have looked at Man City and are like, that's the team to be, because we've gone basically for our away kit's like Man City home kit, and our home kit's like the Man City away kit. So maybe that'll work.
So I think our first game in that kit will be at Anfield in the second Premier League game away. So I'm hoping to be there, trying to get my ticket tomorrow, and it'll grow on me potentially. I love the blue. I'm just not sure about all lines. It's a lot of lines. So that's your away kit. We'll wait to see what the third kit does, but now we do want to talk about some really exciting news for AFC Bournemouth that's coming very, very, very soon. Milos Kerkez, left back, age 19. We hijacked this player from Lazio. Lazio going to be in the Champions League next season, and he signed his contract. He's completed the medical. We're just waiting for those images of Kerkez in a Bournemouth shirt. Steve, we finally got a proper left back, and this guy seems to be the real deal. A lot of sort of interest in him over the last couple of years. Has turned down a Champions League club. I mean, what are we doing? This is mental.
Yeah, I mean, I for a good day, maybe 2 days, I couldn't get my head around it. I was like, what's this? I was trying to get into his psyche and go, why would you go from possibly playing in the Champions League with Lazio or Benfica, for example, who have been sniffing around him, to come and play for Bournemouth? And I'm not trying to put us down there, but we're not in Europe yet. There's a project there, obviously. But I thought, wow, this is a real coup for us, to get a player who's linked with, historical big European sides, and we've come in, swooped in and got him. And he is a prospect. There's no doubt about that. I don't usually get too carried away with the YouTube videos, but I sort of had to watch a little bit of them. And I know they're marketed to make everybody look brilliant, but there's a lot to like there of him. He's very dynamic. He's very forward thinking. He just wants to drive forward with the ball when he's got the opportunity. He scores goals. He puts crosses in. He's all action, all energy, and his defensive work is good too. I mean, yeah, and he's only 19. So, I mean, it's a wonderful acquisition as far as I'm concerned. Well done to the team for getting this one across the line, because, yeah, I can see this, even if he has a couple of good years for us, it's the Brighton model again. It's got the potential of a Brighton signing, hasn't it? Whereby he might have a couple of amazing seasons for us and he's then 21, 22, and we can still command a big fee for him if he wants to leave. Hopefully he doesn't and wants to spend many fruitful years with us. But, yeah, there's nothing to moan about with this one. Brilliant signing.
And when we talk about Alex Scott in a bit, Aaron, this is what I'm talking about. 14 million plus a bit of add-ons if we're successful. And when you listen to the experts who are talking about the young players that are coming through, breaking through in these European leagues, he rated so highly last year, got some goals. Ground jewels was over 60%. And I'm really excited about this signing. I can't sit here and say I know an awful lot about him, but the early stuff I've seen, the early stuff I'm hearing, I like this, and I think we've got a really good deal.
Yeah, different level signing for me, as you said. The fact we can attract him, and hopefully that will have a knock-on effect and attract other players. Because I think Iraola was a big influence in this signing. I think Neil Blake alluded to it in the whole message when Gary O'Neill was let go. That this was nothing against Gary O'Neill, but looking, we want to try and attract certain players to the club, and maybe this is the sort of thing you're talking about, because I saw an interview, it was on Back of the Net actually, which with a Hungarian football writer who was waxing lyrical about him and echoed everything Steve said about he's brilliant defensively, he's tough, Eastern European, very tough. He's actually born in Serbia, I think it was. Played for Hungary. So takes no prisoners there. He's brilliant going forward, dynamic. Yeah, brilliant. Keep him fit, please, because it's such a brilliant signing that this is why I hope we do bring in Vina as well, because we want two left backs, two decent left backs at the club. So, but yeah, massively excited about this one.
In the chat, do tell us if you're excited about the signing of Milos Kerkez. And when we look at a team that might play under Andoni, Mark, I think it's going to be high intensity, pace. He's young, he's enthusiastic, he's got that bite about him. It was definitely a position we had to sort this window. We've gone early and we've got plenty of time to get embedded into this squad.
I'm going to jump on a bit of the bandwagon in terms of I've sat and I've watched some YouTube videos of this guy, and from what I've seen,
we all do it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And from what I've seen, from somebody who's 19 years old at a in a high pressured position as well, it's he puts his body on the line. He's not afraid to get stuck in, and to have some of that, I get that bit of Eastern European grit. A bit like your Nemanja Vidić's and stuff like that, then yeah, absolutely fantastic. I think possibly one of the reasons why he's come over to us again. We have got a massive project to sell, and what's not to be excited about that, but also as well, it may have been a case of saying you come to us, you play, rather than you go to Lazio and you're not going to get as many minutes. So from his development point of view, he absolutely it could be essential, coming here and getting the minutes under the belt, and especially to play in the Premier League on what is effectively the biggest stage. The only way he can go with this is up in many ways. So yeah, cracking signing, cracking price. Let's just hope there's many more like it.
What does this mean, though, Steve, for the Vina deal? I spoke about it in the 60-second recap of other news, and Are the club looking at it that we've got potential players that can play at left back? I mean, I've spoken about Lloyd Kelly only having 12 months left on his contract. And for me, if he doesn't sign a new contract, he's got to go, but he can play at left back. I know that we've tried Greenwood there during pre-season. Do they want to spend £30 million on 2 left backs? I would love nothing more to see us have Kerkez and Vinya, but I wonder if it was one or the other, and we'll bring in an alternative left back potentially.
Possibly. I think Roma were desperate for the money, really. So I think they were more likely to sell. I don't. Whether we just called our interest in him because we thought we could get Kerkez, and we did. I think that was more the case. So, but you touched on the fact that we might not necessarily get another left back, and I think this is a discussion me and you had a few days back, whereby we have still got Lloyd Kelly, who could fill in, because Kerkez is obviously going to be the number 1 left back. So there's potentially cover there. I think we've seen that Jadon Anthony can fill in if he needs to. I'm not suggesting this is the long-term solution, but if we didn't manage to sign another player at left back position, I think we do have a couple of suitable options. And obviously Smudger's played there time and time again and will do a job. I can't see Smudger being first choice at them if we get another right back as well. So he may be well looked as cover. And like you said, we've got Greenwood. I think there was, I know he probably was just joking, but he was saying to Owen Bevan in one of the videos that, I think I found my left back. And that's probably tongue in cheek, but I think there's a few options there if we ever did need to cover Kerkez that we could call on. So I don't think it's
Tavernier can play there if he has to. I wouldn't want to see him there, but he can.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Not necessarily I want to see these players play there. But say Kerkez picks up a knock for a couple of weeks and you've got to fill in. We've got a few players that can do that. And
Kelly's fine for a couple of weeks.
Sorry?
I say Kelly's fine for a couple of weeks.
Exactly. So with Smudger, you'd have him there for a couple of weeks or so. But if it turns out that no one wants him to get a long-term injury, we've still got the January transfer window. Don't forget. So we could, if things did go like that, we could pick up somebody in January if we needed to. So I don't think it's the end of the world, the Vinya one. But I like what Luke's saying there. He is, would he want to come and be on the bench? Because I don't think Kerkez is going to be the backup to anybody. He's definitely going to be a starter for me.
Are you happy with just the one if it ends up just being Kerkez then, Aaron? Or do you think it's imperative, as good as this deal is, we still need another left back?
I think we need another. I think the priority now is a right back over another left back for me. And I'm sure we might touch on Frekineda. But yeah, no, look, in an ideal world, I'd get Vinya in as well. Brilliant. I'm just a pessimist thinking if Kerkez gets a season injury, then back to square one. But we can't think like that. So yeah, we have got cover there. Clearly, Lloyd Kelly is an excellent cover at centre back and left back, and he can do a job there for sure, as can others. So yeah, if I'm talking about other positions now, the next one has to be a right back. So we get a first choice right back in, a first choice left back in. Then we can move on to Lerma. Then we can move on to anyone else if we need to. But for me, yeah, I think I want to see a right back come in through the door now.
Talking to right backs, now Mark Davies is a special guest on this show this evening. And very early on in this window, I can vouch for this, he put a tweet out saying, go get Frekineda. And I don't know if I said that right, Mark, but I had a go at it. And we look like we might be interested, although I have seen a tweet from Alex Crook recently in the last hour or two that says maybe the interest is not as strong as we think. But this guy is linked with Barcelona and Real Madrid, and they've got competition from AFC Bournemouth. But you like this right back. Tell us why.
It's just purely for the fact, mate. I still enjoy Football Manager, mate. And I literally, came across this guy at Valladolid, signed him for... you're going to hate me for this. I was Newcastle at the time. I signed him for Newcastle, mate, and he went on to be an absolute superstar. But of course, to hear that, Valladolid got relegated. And then I believe even saw like Fabrizio Romano was even saying that it was, about 20 million to get this guy on board. I mean, in this day and age, that's absolute snippets. So to imagine that to have two of Europe's, most highly anticipated, wing backs or full backs, at 18 and 19, what is this club doing, mate? It's absolutely, brilliant. To be honest, even just to be linked to these kind of players and to even, show a bit of competition against the likes of, the Lazios. If we do go for Fresneda, the Barcelonas, the Borussia Dortmunds and stuff like that, it is brilliant. And it is something to get excited about. I do just hope that it's not, these aren't just rumours and there is something, a little concrete in it. But, if Alec Crook says so, then, maybe we'll just call it. But yeah, 20 million for him, mate, would be an absolute snip. And if you think, he's 19 years old, you could have him for 5-6 years and probably sell him for treble the price.
Yeah. I mean, our average age, Steve, is going to be ridiculous at this rate. If we were to sign Fresneda and we were to have our current centre backs and Kerkez at left back, I'm not going to do the numbers, but they're going to be very low and it's going to be a very energetic side. I still think you need experienced heads in a team, but this is clearly the model. And if we can get 3-4 years out of them, get into Europe and make a massive profit, you can see what the new ownership is trying to achieve.
Yeah, it's trying to sort of, we talked about it before, emulate the Brighton model in a way and just try and pick up these deals for sort of relatively good, cheap deals. I mean, Kerkez, I can't believe we got him for 14 million. That's just crazy. And if Mark's right in the ballpark of 20 million for Fresneda, again, like he says, potential there in 2 or 3 years, if all goes well, that we can command, double that. So it's a great model and it's a great way to work. And we've also got, the new training facility to develop all these young players coming very soon. Let's not forget that. Yeah. And but then you touched on there about the, having the mature heads around the place, and this sort of harps me back to Lewis Cook a little bit, because he is more, I know it's mad at 25, but he's, eking towards one of the more senior players now. Take out the likes of Neto and Randolph, obviously, but he's probably been around the club as long as anybody now, apart from Smudge. But these players are going to be phased out, so he could be looked upon as a sort of guiding light for some of these youngsters coming aboard who don't really know the history of our club that much, don't really know the Bournemouth way. So he can have a role there as well. I mean, I don't know who is our vice captain at the minute. Is it Smudge?
Smith, yeah.
Yeah.
Smith.
Yeah. They might. I don't know if that.
Sorry, put out. Go on. I was just going to say, would you guys be what we touched on it earlier, but would you guys be concerned if we didn't directly replace Jeff Lerma and we just went with Cook, Kilkenny, Rothwell?
I would. I want another CDM, really. And even if we get Alex Scott, he's not a CDM. So no. I think we need a replacement for Jeff Lerma. I want Lewis Cook to be an amazing player for us. I have massive reservations that he can do it over a season. And that's why I would want another signing in that middle of that park, Aaron.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would as well. Yeah.
Talking of Alex Scott, the saga continues. We'll spend 1 or 2 minutes on this as we get to the end of this live stream on YouTube, because Mark McAdams said that Wolves have had a second bid rejected for Alex Scott. Bristol City are now rating him in excess of £25 million, not just 25, in excess of £25 million. Guys, time to walk away in it. He's great talent. Guernsey Grealish is how James put it last week, and I'd love this guy on the turf of Dean Court, but it's silly money now. I mean, he's never played Premier League football before, and it doesn't always mean you're going to live up to the potential. Mark, want the player? If we're talking over 25 million, I'm not sure.
I say pay the money, mate. 25 million, mate. Just go for it.
Steve, are you saying pay it 26, 27, 28? Where's it stop?
Have you actually seen him play? Because I've been down the rabbit hole.
This is the thing, isn't it?
Of
this
YouTube,
is the thing, Steve.
And it does look. It looks very good. But what I gleaned from it more than it's a load of good clips put together. If you watch him closely, it's like I made this sort of suggestion that he was almost like a young Gaza. The way he goes past players out there, seasoned professional players, and he's a young 19, 20-year-old, however young he is, and with no fear, and he just drives, and I think that's really exciting, and I could see him making the step up quite easily. And there's a player to develop there as well into a better player. So he's already brilliant from what I can see when it's good bits. But I think there's so much scope there with him. He just looks like a natural football. When you see someone and you think just looks like a really natural footballer, and he glides across the grass, and it almost looks effortless. That's what I took from watching him. I just thought he just looks so good.
Ultimately, though, Aaron, there will be a budget, and if we do want to get a right back and a CDM and maybe another striker that I keep bringing up in every stream, maybe we can't afford 25, 26, 28 million. I don't know.
Well, look, it's easy for it's not my money, so I'm saying pay it. You know, like if it's
you will pay for it though, by the way, just to let you know, you will pay for it.
I have been already. The last 2 games have cost a lot more than already. But yeah, it's there's always a premium for English players, but he is supposedly a special talent. He's been earmarked for some time. It's not just out of the blue. He's definitely supposed to be a very coveted player, and I think he's only going to get better. You know, again, it sounds ridiculous saying this. If we're haggling over $1 million or 2 million, just go and get him. Like, if he doesn't want to come to us, that's one thing. That's fine. I get that. But if we're trying to play a game with Wolves, if we really want him, don't play a dangerous game with Wolves. Just give what they're asking for, because they're not mucking around Bristol City here. If you want him, go and get him. If not, move on and be done with it. But I'd love to see us bring him in. Look, apart from the FFP side of things, I generally don't think money's an issue for Foley and his consortium, because he's got a hell of a lot of backers who, you know, there's 4 or 5 other backers in that consortium who we don't know the names of, who he's openly said are bringing in lots of money to the club. So he's not short of money.
I mean, ultimately, one thing I wanted to just say in that one as well. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, Uncle Bill here is he's not a millionaire, he's a billionaire. You know, I mean, I think he's probably carrying 25 million around in his wallet right now, easily. But also, you know, you sign him for 25 million, and even if you were to have him for like 4 seasons, you know, that's just a little bit over, you know, 5 million a season.
That's right. Mark's right. It's structured over a period of time. You're not paying 25 million.
Payments will be anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and if you can, double or even treble it over that period of time. I mean, knowing us, we'll probably let him run his contract down, and he'll end up going to Watford or something like that. But
and it will always be like 20 million plus 2 million if he gets the England squad, 2 million if he gets us into Europe. All this business, you know. And if we get into Europe, we're laughing anyway. And if he gets the England squad, then brilliant. So yeah, I just think the way deals are structured these days, we if we want him, we pay it.
You heard it, Bill. They're all saying, by Alex Scott. Write the check.
Green and black kit.
But we do want to thank you for joining us on this live stream. Do subscribe, do hit the like button. Thank you to our monthly members. You can become a monthly member or donate at buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. And thank you to those new fans who have donated this week. If you're watching this video back on replay, do use the comments. We read every single one, and we'll pop in there and also have some conversations with you. So do hit those comments. Been an excellent first episode to Cherries in Focus. Steve, good conversations, more to come, more pre-season games to come. Kerkez should be through the door, and maybe some new signings come next week.
Well, who knows? It's tune in next week for the latest episode of Bill goes mad with his cash. But, I don't know. It's exciting times. What we've been saying. I've got Go Saints on. Is it next week? Next
Tuesday, isn't it?
Tuesday. Yeah. So that'll
25th.
be interesting. I think we should let them wear their last year's second kit, and we wear our new second kit. And see what happens in that.
I think that will really do my eyes in.
Yeah. Be a fun week, and I look forward to catching up with you all again soon. So be good.
Aaron, the egg timer's up. Thanks for coming on this latest stream and Cherries in Focus episode 1. Summarise. Good evening. More to come.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Looking forward to the next instalment of Kerkez Brings in the Talent. And I'm looking for a lot. Yeah, I'm looking for some by this time next week, a right back, and then we'll build from there. But good to see everybody. Look forward to seeing everyone soon.
Mark Davies, great to have you on. Know you're keen to get back onto that Football Manager and win a local cup competition, maybe the EFL Cup or FA Cup. But great to have you on tonight. Summarise the last 7 days for AFC Bournemouth and what you think will come in the next 7 days.
First of all, thank you very much for having me back, Kirk. Much appreciated. It's been great to talk Cherries with you boys again. Last 7 days, been on the up, and obviously the best part of the roller coaster is when, ironically enough, you come on the down bit. So yeah, we're literally just getting onto the crest, and the next few weeks are going to be, yeah, absolutely fun as anything. Actually, I've just having a quick look on the comments though, and I don't know if you can pull up, Kirk, what Luke Andrews has just put on there, because I'd love to see Phil Bill do like some sort of nanny-esque celebrations. That looks absolutely fantastic. That does.
Is this one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Found it.
That looks absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so you can imagine, was it a 6'7" giant?
That's why Areola's got carrying the balls all around with him all the time. What they're learning, Well, not just
what did I say to you, Steve? Every time a ball goes out of play, new one in.
I know,
Mic'd
but
up. Check it out.
I just like to have this stupid thought that he's doing something else. There's another purpose to it. Like he's getting them where you don't see it off camera, but they're all learning to sort of walk on the ball.
Yeah,
like Cirque du Soleil. Maybe that's
Can't wait.
Bit of tiki-taka, hey?
Brilliant.
Love it, boys.
Thanks for joining us on this live interactive YouTube stream. Thank you. If you watch this video back, do subscribe, do hit the like button. Jeff Lerma, the cat, you're meant to be in London, not in Mark's living room. Thanks for joining us on this stream. Do hit the like button, do subscribe. And Bournemouth are cooking, apparently. I don't know what that means, but thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next one. Up the Cherries.
Up the
Bravo.
Cherries.